We have a super fun video today. This is a collaboration with a bunch of awesome booktubers, and basically it's like a Secret Santa situation. So each of us created a wish list of tropes or themes or basically anything that we love in books. And then based on that wish list, a mystery booktuber recommended us a book to read. This is Michelle's Melancholia, where we read books to fear and shed a tear. And today we'll be reading a mystery book by a mystery booktuber. Okay, so the first step was to create my wish list, and I didn't vlog that process because it took me ages to come up with what I wanted to put in it. So I'm just going to walk you through what I ended up with, and then I'm going to reveal what mystery book I read. So the first item in my wish list was a demonic possession with a twist. I love that. Then anything claustrophobic or about someone trapped somewhere, because I just love giving myself anxiety. Next, something bleak that makes me wonder what's the point of living. I mean, I'm always in the mood for existential dread. Also, the gnarliest body horror you can think of. Literally, you can't go wrong with that. And finally, a cool scientist character, bonus points if it's a woman, double bonus points if it's a biologist. Just because I've been reading a lot of that lately, and honestly, it's such a mood. And finally, I also requested please no romance or smut. And then my Secret Santa mystery booktuber got back to me and said, I have something that ticks a lot of those boxes, but are you okay with a romance subplot? And I said, yes, that's fine. It wasn't fine. And then I got my book, which was, drumroll please, Voices in the Snow by Darcy Coates. I was so excited to get this book because I have never read a Darcy Coates before, and it was actually in my list of horror authors that I can't believe I haven't read yet. So this was just a perfect opportunity for me to get acquainted with this author. And I did, so let's go to the vlog and I'll be back with my final thoughts. Okay, so I started Voices in the Snow last night. I read 6 chapters. So given that I went in completely blind, I have no idea where this is going. And I think at this point, I don't know if I'm going to like it that much. Actually, I think that after the first chapter, I was pretty excited about it. I really liked how it set up the premise of the main character Claire driving to her family, and we get a hint that something's gone wrong in the world. Something kind of apocalyptic, or maybe not that intense, but definitely something very dangerous is going on. And then she crashes her car at the end of chapter 1. Well, we don't know if she crashed her car. She just had some kind of car accident. Anyways, when she wakes up, she is in this super fancy manor with this guy who has been taking care of her. And this is where I started to doubt, mainly because I don't yet understand the dynamics between these two characters. I think it obviously makes sense for her to not trust this guy because she has no idea who he is, and she's been an accident, and it's all just very confusing and scary. I just wish that he maybe communicated with her a little bit better from the beginning, maybe explaining to her very slowly what happened to her, where she is, and who is he. Instead, he kind of just leaves her on her own for a bit, and she very understandably freaked out. So I guess I just worry that most of their dynamics or whatever happens between both of them will be based on them not communicating. But on the other hand, it's only chapter 6, so maybe I'm just overthinking like I do. So I will just shut up and keep reading, and I'll give you an update later. Bye! Hi, let's do a super quick update because I have to go to work. I am now halfway through Voices in the Snow and I still don't know if I like it. I know I said I'm okay with a romance subplot and I swear I am. I just don't like this particular romance. And there's a couple of reasons why. I think the biggest one is that I don't see any real chemistry or connection between the two characters. I feel like they're just attracted to each other because they're the only people there. So it's more of a situationship kind of thing. And in fact, I'm not even a fan of either of the characters. I feel like the woman character, Claire, she's fine. She's maybe a little bit bland. Like, I don't see a lot of personality coming through, but she's okay. The Doran guy, though, I don't really like him. He is that type of male character that's always putting on a brave face, never showing any vulnerability. And he's like,
"Oh, the reason I'm like this is because I have such a dark past."
And she's like,
"Don't worry, I will fix you. Let me take care of you."
And I just don't like that dynamic. And also I really disliked a part where she's thinking that he's been so good and so kind to her and she's thinking, oh, I don't deserve you. And I'm like, yes, girl, you deserve this and more. Like, I know I said you're bland, but still, even bland people deserve real love. On a more positive note, we have started getting glimpses of the horror elements. So actually, the creepy house in the forest, I really like. And whatever seems to be lurking in the shadows whenever they make an appearance, I think that's really cool. And as I mentioned in the previous section, at the beginning it seemed like there was some kind of like apocalyptic event. So I still think there is a lot of potential here. I'm definitely getting the claustrophobic vibes. So I'm just hoping in the second half there will be more of that and less of those two people being cringy with each other and less of the situationship thingy. But also, if you read this and love this relationship, I'm so sorry. Hi, let's do a super quick update now that I'm about 75% through. The good news is that I liked this part so much better because we got much more of the horror and it's actually revealed what's going on, what are those lurking shadows in the house, and it relates back to what I said in the beginning about the post-apocalyptic vibes. And the thing that's happening is pretty cool. I really liked how Darcy Coates wrote the kind of body horror that's happening. I really like where there's creatures or people who have body parts that don't look like they're supposed to look like. They are in weird shapes. Maybe it's not like the most original concept, but I think it was very well done. The imagery is very, very good and very creepy, so I'm really enjoying that. The bad news is that my only concern is that maybe I enjoyed this part more because Claire kind of goes on her own for a little bit, so there was less of their interaction. And I'm assuming they're gonna reunite. So I'm just worried that once we get more of them together, I'm again not gonna be super convinced. But we will see. I'm definitely hopeful because it looks like things are really picking up. So I hope we get some more of these like actiony scenes and like really gruesome encounters between Claire and the creature thingies. And who knows, maybe they'll eat the guy. And I like this even more. Okay, so final thoughts on Voices in the Snow. Let's just say I wasn't a fan, but I really do not think that this was the fault of my mystery person. They gave me claustrophobic, trapped somewhere, and they did give me some pretty gnarly body horror. I guess the apocalyptic setting could be a little existential dread, but I didn't really get that much. However, I cannot deny that I got what I asked for. So I already mentioned that I wasn't a fan of the romance. I guess for me it felt a little bit more like a romance story with a horror subplot or like a horror setting, but I think the focus was mostly on the relationship. And I'm already so particular with romance subplots in my books that I will completely take the blame on this one. Now, regarding the actual story, I did love the concept. I thought the setting was super interesting because it was a mixture of these apocalyptic story, which always read a bit futuristic to me, and this very old-fashioned Gothic manor with this old-fashioned man. And I do love it when books put two very unexpected things together. I just don't think that these combined as well as they could have. I know horror books are not particularly realistic, but things do have to have some kind of logic to them. And I think in this book, things just happened for the sake of it, to make it wild and unpredictable. But the twists and turns didn't really make me feel surprised. It just made me feel like I was watching a soap opera where random dramatic things just happen all the time. And I know it's a series, so maybe more things get explained later on and everything makes more sense, but I just don't think I'll have the patience to carry on. Definitely my favorite parts were those with the body horror. There are these creatures that are super freaky looking, like their bodies are all twisted and gnarly, and I loved those descriptions. I think Darcy Coates does really good descriptions of bones and muscle and skin. It sounds super gross, and it is super gross. And that's why I really loved it. I just wish we had more of that, because these only started appearing at about halfway or even later. And again, I know this is a series and probably there's much more of that in the following books, but I just don't have the patience. And I guess in conclusion, this book was kind of confusing to me, because in one side it does have so many things that I love, but on the other hand, it also had a lot of things that I really dislike, so I think at the end I just fall right in the middle. But as I said, as a recommendation, it was actually pretty spot on to what I asked for, and I did say I was okay with the romance, so no regrets really, just lessons learned. So now we're going to do probably the most fun part of this whole collaboration, and it is that I will try to guess who recommended these to me. And I have two main suspects. The first one is Erin Megan, simply because I know she is a super Darcy Coates fan. She's probably read all of her books, so as soon as she saw my wishlist, she knew what to suggest. But if I remember correctly, she's also super particular about her romance subplots, and I don't know if she would have liked this. My second suspect is Kaylee from Kaylee's Books, because in one of her recent videos, she did her favorite horror books ever, and this wasn't one of them, but she mentioned it while talking about Darcy Coates. That's why I suspect maybe this book was very fresh in her mind, and that's why I'm going to guess Kaylee. Now we watch the reveal together.
Hello, Michelle. I'm super excited that I get to kind of explain my rationale to picking Voice in the Snow by Darcy Coates. Yes, I'm at work and it's a Spirit Week, which is why I am dressed like this. But I recommended you Voice in the Snow for a couple different reasons. One of the reasons was if you wanted something that was trapped or like claustrophobic type setting, and in Voice in the Snow, we definitely have that isolation setting. Also, body horror, which, I mean, I'm not going to say much more than that. And it is pretty bleak, I would feel it sometimes. I don't want it too much, so I don't want to spoil anything. But I did think that it had a lot of the qualities that you were looking for. And also, if you keep continuing this series, and if you liked it, it gets more of the scientific part, which was one of your other recommendations or things on your wish list. So I hope you like it. I'm really nervous, but yeah.
Oh, thank you, Right. You actually did choose very well, and I'm just bummed out that I didn't like the romance. I'm so sorry. But now I'm super intrigued that she said we might get more scientific explanation in the rest of the series. So now I'm wondering, should I continue? Please, if you have read the rest of the series, let me know. Based on what I've said in this video, do you think I would actually enjoy the following books? It's just so hard for me to resist any horror with a scientific explanation to it. So yeah, please let me know what you think I should do. And I guess that's it for today. I hope you had as much fun as I had with this little experiment. And I'll have everyone else's videos linked below so you can go watch them all. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Bye!